"Do not tempt the devil to steal your vision," Pastor would warn. "If you open your eyes, you will face problems forever." Before we dive into this story, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and tell me know where you're watching from in the comments. In the quiet town of Nigeria, faith was more than just belief, it was a way of life. The town had several churches, each claiming to be the true path to salvation. But among them was a peculiar one, a small wooden chapel at the town center. It wasn't grand, nor was it adorned with golden crosses, yet it attracted more people than any other. At the heart of this church was Pastor Malcolm, a man both feared and revered. His sermons were fiery, his words mesmerizing, and his miracles beyond comprehension. The blind regained their sight, the lame walked, and the sick were healed. Even the wealthy from neighboring cities traveled miles to witness his divine powers. But Malcolm had one strict rule: when he prayed, everyone had to close their eyes. "Do not tempt the devil to steal your vision," he would warn. "If you open them, you will face consequences beyond repair." The townsfolk, devoted and obedient, never questioned him. That is, until a stranger named Ethan arrived in Willow Creek. Ethan was a traveler, skeptical of miracles and wary of men who claimed to speak for God. He had heard of Pastor Malcolm and decided to attend a service, not out of faith, but curiosity. As the congregation gathered, Malcolm's voice rang out, commanding all to close their eyes. But Ethan didn't. He kept one eye slightly open and watched. To his shock, he saw Malcolm hurriedly collecting money and gifts brought as offerings. It wasn't the act itself that startled Ethan, but the greedy way in which the pastor snatched them, as if afraid someone might take them away. When Malcolm finished praying, his gaze locked onto Ethan. "You, visitor," he thundered. "You disobeyed God's command." The congregation gasped, turning to Ethan. "You opened your eyes during prayer, didn't you?" Ethan hesitated but nodded. Malcolm raised his hands. "Then hear this: you will not live to see tomorrow. The wrath of the Almighty is upon you." Fear spread through the church. Some pleaded with Ethan to beg for forgiveness, but he remained silent, unmoved by Malcolm's threat. The next day, the town awoke to an astonishing sight: Ethan, alive and well, strolling through the market, smiling as if nothing had happened. Whispers of doubt began to spread. Before skepticism could take hold, Malcolm performed another miracle. A week later, a young woman named Claire attended a service. During prayer, she grew restless and, forgetting the warning, opened her eyes. Almost immediately, Malcolm stopped praying and pointed at her. "You have defied God. From this moment on, your voice shall be silenced." The congregation watched in horror as Claire tried to speak, but no sound came from her lips. Panic filled her face as she clutched her throat. The town believed Malcolm's power was real. Yet despite their offerings, the church remained a simple wooden structure. The poor continued to struggle, receiving no aid from their generous donations. The neighboring town's pastors began warning their congregations, "Do not be fooled by miracles, test the spirits." But Malcolm's followers ignored them, convinced that those who doubted him were simply jealous. Still, whispers of doubt grew, and one night, a few young men decided to uncover the truth. Under the cover of darkness, the young men crept toward Malcolm's house. What they discovered shook them to their core. Hidden behind the trees was a lavish home, far from the modest dwellings of his followers. Inside, they saw treasures, fine clothing, and an abundance of money, offerings meant for the church. Fear kept them silent, for they knew confronting Malcolm could bring a curse. Meanwhile, Malcolm announced a grand service, promising miracles beyond imagination. On the day of the event, people from far and wide gathered. "Today is the day of miracles," Malcolm declared. "The blind will see, the lame will walk, and even your broken radios will work again if you believe." The crowd erupted in cheers. One man, blind for years, was led forward. Malcolm laid his hands on him. "You will see," he declared. The man gasped, then shouted, "I can see, I can see." The crowd erupted in praise. But then, another blind man was brought forward. Malcolm hesitated. "My friend, your miracle is pending activation. Take him home and let it process." The first blind man, however, was later seen laughing with Malcolm, counting money in a local restaurant. A witness, hiding in the shadows, listened as Malcolm said, "You did well today. These people are easy to fool." The truth was about to be exposed. One day, a mysterious visitor attended Malcolm's church, a man known for exposing frauds. Unlike others, he kept his eyes wide open. What he saw shook him. Behind Malcolm stood a massive black snake, swaying as if part of his ritual. "The power he has is not from God," the man shouted. Panic spread through the church. Some dismissed him, but others started to connect the dots. The miracles that faded, the lavish home, the growing wealth while the church remained in disrepair. Doubts turned to fear, and then to anger. As the congregation watched in horror, some faithful members fainted. The hold Malcolm had over them was breaking. The once revered pastor tried to regain control, but it was too late. His influence had begun to crumble. That night, Malcolm disappeared, leaving behind a shaken town and a church that had lost its leader. But the story served as a warning. Faith was powerful, but blind faith could be dangerous. In the wake of Malcolm's sudden disappearance, Willow Creek was plunged into a state of turmoil and disbelief. The town, once united by fervent devotion, now found itself divided between shock, sorrow, and a desperate search for truth. In the days following the scandal, families gathered in small clusters, whispering about the strange events leading up to the pastor's vanishing. Many felt deeply betrayed, their cherished miracles revealed as mere illusions. Others clung to remnants of hope, organizing impromptu meetings to discuss the inconsistencies, the lavish mansion hidden behind the chapel, the mysterious influx of wealth, and the ominous prophecies that had lost their power. A few brave souls began documenting every suspicious detail, determined to piece together the real story behind Malcolm's miracles. Their meetings, held in dimly lit rooms and quiet backyards, mixed anger with introspection as residents questioned how blind faith had clouded their judgment. As the truth emerged bit by bit, grief turned to resolve. The community vowed to rebuild on a foundation of honesty and critical inquiry, even as the lingering pain of deception haunted them. Willow Creek was forever changed, its people now wary and vigilant, committed to seeking truth over blind adoration. Weeks turned into months as the empty wooden chapel stood as a silent monument to a troubled past. Amid the lingering despair, a humble figure emerged, Reverend Andrew, a gentle soul whose quiet demeanor starkly contrasted with Pastor Malcolm's flamboyance. Arriving without fanfare and armed only with a worn Bible and sincere compassion, Reverend Andrew began to speak of a different kind of faith, one rooted in love, community, and honest reflection. He traveled door to door, listening patiently to the townspeople's stories of betrayal and loss. In his soft-spoken sermons, he emphasized that true miracles were not found in dramatic gestures but in everyday acts of kindness, understanding, and mutual support. Slowly, as trust was cautiously rebuilt, the chapel began to fill again, not with mindless followers, but with individuals eager for genuine spiritual renewal. The once silent wooden walls began to resonate with thoughtful prayers and humble reflections. Under Reverend Andrew's guidance, Willow Creek embarked on a journey of healing, learning that a true connection with the divine was nurtured through honest dialogue, community support, and a steadfast commitment to truth. The painful aftermath of deception spurred a profound transformation in Willow Creek. The scandal forced the townspeople to re-examine their beliefs and the very nature of faith. No longer would they accept miracles uncritically. Instead, community gatherings evolved into forums for thoughtful discussion and scriptural study. Neighbors met in homes and community halls, poring over sacred texts and debating the true meaning of spiritual gifts. Parents, elders, and educators joined forces to teach critical thinking and the importance of discernment, emphasizing that faith must be accompanied by wisdom and inquiry. These open dialogues replaced the old, unquestioning loyalty to charismatic figures. The community began to cherish personal reflection and collective learning. As residents embraced a more balanced view of spirituality, one that valued both heart and mind, old superstitions gradually faded away. The painful lessons of the past became the cornerstone of a renewed faith, ensuring that future generations would learn to value transparency and to question even the most revered authorities, thereby safeguarding their hearts from future deceptions. The The story of Pastor Malcolm transcended Willow Creek, evolving into a powerful legend and a stern warning for all. In taverns, marketplaces, and quiet country lanes, the tale was recounted with a mixture of sorrow, caution, and resolve. Travelers and new residents learned of the charismatic preacher who had once manipulated an entire community, and his legacy became a symbol of the dangers inherent in blind faith. Local historians and writers began to document the events, ensuring that future generations would remember the catastrophic cost of unquestioned devotion. Public readings, community plays, and even local festivals began to incorporate lessons from the scandal, stressing that true faith must always be paired with discernment. The narrative of Malcolm's rise and fall served not only as a warning but also as a call to rebuild trust through transparency and critical inquiry. In sharing this cautionary tale, the people of Willow Creek hoped to inspire communities everywhere to cherish their faith while never relinquishing the responsibility to question, learn, and seek truth. Not every church is a house of God, and not every pastor is his servant. Be careful where you place your faith. Test the spirits and seek wisdom before blindly following any leader. As the scriptures say, dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. Faith is a gift, but discernment is a responsibility. If this story has taught you something, please tell me in the comment section where you have watched from, like this video and also subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one.